Hello, chat. Hello. How's everybody doing today? I have a very special guest to interview today, and it is my friend of the show, Clevvur. Clevvur, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Gato.
How are you, sir? All right, now I'm gonna get that one tick of volume. That's always a struggle for me. 1 second. There we go. There we go. Yeah, there he is. Look at him. Look at him. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so as usual, the first question I ask the guest is the lore behind the name. Can you tell us the lore behind your handle, Clevvur with 2 V's, and how you came up
Yes.
with that? And
Sure. So actually, I've gone through a few different name changes on Twitch, but
oh,
I
okay.
had, I dabbled in streaming briefly a long time ago. I've been in the Twitch world for quite a while. Not quite as far back as like Justin TV days, but for a while, mostly just pretty casually lurking. And so I've had a few different accounts and kind of experimented with things. Nothing I really took off, and then left Twitch for a bit. Or I wouldn't say fully left it, but just kind of wasn't tuning in as much. And had a name prior to this one that was Dapper Mr. Fox, and that was just a mouthful. It was
Actually, I remember you as Dapper Mr. Fox.
Yeah, Dapper Mr. Fox was around for a bit. But when I thought more seriously about like streaming again and going live, I wanted something that was easier to remember, briefer. I also run into this thing where certain streams and streamers would refer to me as Fox, others would refer to me as Dapper. So it didn't have like a cohesive identity. And so I was like, well, I really, I love foxes, I love goats. Those are like, I don't know, maybe my spirit animals if you believe in that stuff. But it's like, well, foxes are clever, and a lot of people have like, mistakenly assumed I'm also clever. So I was like, wow, I could kind of play off of that, and like I like the sound of that, and it's easy to remember. But of course, it's popular. It's it's 2 syllables. There's other people that have the username, so I had to come up with a spelling that was reminiscent enough that it would connect with people, and they would actually, because I sometimes people Yeti refer to me as Cleve or Cleaver. Yeti does it purely to troll, but some people actually like think that's how you pronounce it, so I have to do slight corrections. But yeah, the lore behind that is essentially I was looking for something that was easily brandable and could have some fun with, and was kind of a play off of my prior persona, which was Fox, so Clever Fox.
Interesting. Interesting. And what about foxes sparks your fancy?
I guess it's just I'm a fan of the old Victorian like fairy tales, which Wind in the Willows, and I kind of, it's not Redwall, doesn't fall into that necessarily, but like a similar vibe. So some of that anthropomorphic type representations of characters through animals, I think, is kind of cool. And foxes have also always been associated with like clever, smart. They may not be the biggest creature in the block, but they're known for their intelligence and their problem solving, which are traits that I kind of think that I extol. So I've always kind of had a connection with that. And if you've ever met a fox, it's basically it's cat software running on dog hardware. And I think that that's also a pretty good summarization of my character.
Interesting. Yes, I would agree with that assessment. Just smaller, framed dog hardware. Very much so. Also similar to huskies, because huskies are the same thing. They're cat OS on dog hardware. So I'd agree with that.
That is an apt assessment, especially although they tend to be much more vocal. Every husky I've met has an opinion and wants everyone to know it.
Yep. Yeah, I have Dogbot. My Discord admin is a husky. And she's vocal. Very much so. So, yep. Alright, and the other tradition we have at the beginning of the interview is I shout out the guest. I shout out and pin their channel. So I'm going to shout you out. And if you're familiar with my shout out overlay, it's going to play a random clip from your channel.
God knows what my community is clipped.
I know. So let's see. I suspect I have an idea what we'll get, but let's see what we get, and then I will pin your channel. I'll pin your channel. Oh, this is Elden Ring.
Not there. This is when the omen died and on my shoulder. It was so sad.
Oh, I too was.
I had to cuddle that omen, you know, because they have a terrible, tragic backstory.
Gotcha. I was thinking the exact same thing was gonna pop up, Yeti.
No, thankfully it was not furry backshots. I was really hoping we were not going to have to explain that one.
All right, I'm gonna say follow this foxy guy. Right? Meow. There we go. All right, I'm just gonna put you on the spot. How did you become the Backshot King? Like, literally, I know you as the Backshot King on Twitch. So how did that happen?
Gee, I don't know if I got lucky enough to have the moniker. It goes back to Liza P, my Liza P playthrough. So there is an attack called the Furry attack, but it's Fury attack. I like to, I think it's funny to call it the Furry attack because the first time I read it very quickly, I think I said Furry, even though it was Fury. And then it just sort of became an ongoing thing where every time I had the opportunity to do one of those attacks, a furry attack, I would announce it. It was like, furry attack. And it was often, because it was like a sneak attack, you could get those behind the enemy, so it became a back shot. And then we had to explain to certain members of chat what a back shot was. There was some Googling involved.
I was one.
Became a whole thing.
I was one. I didn't know what backshots were until your channel. I was the Googler. I was the Googler
to educate the populace. But yeah. So furry backshots. We can all blame Liza P for that one.
And you loved that game. You played the F out of that game, if I remember correctly.
I do. I really do love Liza P. I think it's a great Souls-like. It falls very similarly into other Souls-like the Dark Souls, From Software in general. A lot of people liken it to Bloodborne because of the aesthetic, but I think it is still very different from the FromSoft series, and is its standalone game that has a lot of great quality of life improvements over some of the things that FromSoft has done, and I really appreciate that about Liza P. But I also really appreciate the aesthetic and the design and the time period. It's a time period that we don't see a lot of times in game worlds, and it's a very pretty one. There was a lot of things happening in the world at that time. So I don't know. There's a lot of it that I like, and then it's interesting them playing off of a literary classic, Pinocchio, and exploring some of the dark themes within that. There's a lot of allegory. One can infer a lot of allegory and things like that inside of the storytelling in Liza P. So it's a fascinating game. The combat is really good. I hope to soon create some more static content, some more YouTube content around it, taking a deeper exploration into the game, because it's something I just would like to do.
Interesting. Oh, Yeti got auto-modded. Guess what she got auto-modded for, Clevvur?
Backshots.
Nope. She got auto-modded for saying, Liza P sucks butt. No. We love Liza P on this channel. We love it.
We won't call out Yeti for rage.
Her bad taste.
Liza P in the second chapter, but yeah. We love you, Yeti. We just need to get good.
We love you. Okay, good.
I'm so gonna get hell for that later.
You got auto modded again, Yeti. I got you. I got you. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But yeah, um, I enjoyed the hell out of Liza P. It's just, I think a lot of, I think a lot of community members, they have a, like, we're on Twitch because a lot of people have very short attention spans. And so if they see you streaming a game and they're used to variety, if they see you streaming for more, I want to say like 3 or more streams, they're just like, ugh, this game again. Ugh, this game again. You're like, I'm not done playing it. I haven't unlocked the story. Like, we haven't even cracked. And that game has so much lore, and
it does.
And the bosses are so good that, you know, you might spend some significant time learning the fight. I can see it. Like, I know Jackie was a big anti-Liza P person in your community. He even tried to do a speed run, if I remember correctly, just to show you that she could beat it in an afternoon, which she learned very quickly. No, you cannot. No, you cannot.
Yes. Yep. Jackie was humbled, but she was humbled. As much trash as she talks about the game, she has admitted it is a good game. There's just some things she would like to see different, and that's totally fair.
Yeah, there's some right criticism. I will say some people felt the combat was oversimplified as compared to like Elden Ring, and actually I appreciated as a orange brain cat that it was simplified. Like there's a lot of good things to say about the game. It is uniquely its own, and I appreciate it. So oversimplified, yep. Like Yeti, no, like that, like compared to Sekiro or freaking Elden or even any of the Soulsborne, there's like Elden to me is like you have so many variations of playstyles you can do in that one, and the different character builds and abilities and like gear that you can use to cheese things. It's like once you find a weapon that you like, there's no reason to ever change it in Liza P. Exactly. I went for the big Zug Smash axe, the puppet arm.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I thought Elden Ring was easier than Liza P in a lot of ways because of the availability of builds and weapons and everything else. Like, and it's all subjective. Like, I think it's all subjective in terms of, you know, difficulty being subjective. Because there were certain bosses that I have very good friends that spent 6 hours defeating a boss with one type of build that I beat on my second try with a different build at roughly the same level and everything else. So, but then there were some where they took down that boss in the first, and you know, it took me 10 or 15 tries with the build I was running at the time. So it's very subjective with Elden Ring, whereas I think Liza P was more consistent. And yeah, to David's point, you absolutely can like pick a weapon, love it, and play almost the whole game through it in Liza P, but it does come down to your skill level at that standpoint, because you could also switch to a weapon that would sometimes make it easier in Liza P, or switch up a strategy, or go full consumables and chuck a bunch of things. Like, there were ways to cheese Liza P bosses as well. I think there was less opportunity to do that in Liza P, though. Whereas Elden Ring had a vast assortment of items and builds that you could tweak and change up and respec into to overcome a certain fight.
Yep. Yeah, we could probably talk all day. I deviated from the normal start questions, but that's okay. I was enjoying where the conversation was going. But let's get back on track to the normal questions. So another standard question is the hardware and software to operate a Clevvur stream. So we'll start with your hardware and what type of machine do you run, what type of peripherals, what goes into your setup.
It's really nothing too fancy. I'm running an older PC. It was actually pre-built. I just got a Legion Lenovo on a killer deal. I was actually able to pick, like, this is when GPUs were insanely expensive because of crypto miners and everything else. So the pre-built was like significantly cheaper than buying parts to build the system myself. I normally build my own PCs, but this one is a 3070. It, I've got two 2 terabytes of storage on it. I'm running it's an i7. I can't remember which i7, but I mean it's a decent rig. At its time, it was doing great. It is getting a little long in the tooth, and I can't stream the newest games because from the software side of things, I use OBS, and you start to put too much demand on the system with encoding and everything else by running OBS. My games will start to lag, or OBS will start to lag. So yeah, I mean, I can stream most things at medium settings, like Liza P. I ran at medium, but it's all running in 1080p, so no one could really tell the difference, and varying levels of stream fidelity depending on everyone's internet speed. So I think it was totally fine, but like I'm playing.
Oh, not sure if it's my internet or Clevvur's, but we just got a lag spike.
Nope.
All right, lag spike.
Let me know if it's back.
Okay, we're back. That was
okay.
Wait,
I could hear you, but I could tell there was some slowdown.
Gotcha. Was there Clevvur? Oh, okay. Wait, do you have Cox Internet? Like, who's your ISP and do they suck as well?
I have Comcast, and we've been having issues with them. Anyone that's been hanging out in the streams knows that we get random slowdowns. So yeah, it's Comcast, and used to be good. They made some upgrades to the line, and it's been way less consistent. So I don't know. Hopefully it stays for us.
Gotcha. No, I've had the same experience. I have an ISP that has garbage network infrastructure and refuses to do anything about it. I had to do an FCC complaint. Like, if it gets bad enough that you have to, force their hand to do something, you can do an FCC complaint. And that will get you to somebody who actually cares about trying to make the problem better. Like, the typical customer service rep just they're focusing on their metrics of getting the most calls done per hour as possible. Like, they're just going to say whatever it takes to get rid of you. But the FCC, the escalated customer service rep, wants to make sure that you're satisfied with, your internet by the time they're done with you. So you might investigate that route if you have to.
Yeah, probably worth digging into at some point. I mean, in general, it's about a gig down and 80 to 100 up. The problem has been the consistency, though. So I think there's some noise somewhere in the lines that's not on my end, so we have to dig into it. But yeah, hardwired, all that good stuff.
Oh, even hardwired. Oh, yikes.
Yeah, this is not Wi-Fi. There's no way in heck I would try anything on Wi-Fi.
No, that's in my scenario, like they did have to go hunt the noise, and they found the noise, and they ended up replacing like most of the lines up the street from me. But that was only after the FCC complaint. So
yeah, probably gonna have to go down that route eventually because it's been consistently inconsistent, which is the frustrating part.
Yep, that's not great. That's not great.
Okay. But other hardware pieces, nothing too fancy really. I Logitech keyboard and mouse. The mic is a fine tank. I've got like a ring light, and that's pretty much about it. 3 MSI monitors because I like to be able to see all the things.
3 monitors. Yeah. Nice.
I do have the dual, and then a vertical for chat and Discord and all these other things.
Okay. And then the second half of that question is, what software is required to run your stream?
I just run OBS. So open broadcasting software. It's great. It's open source. I should learn to not upgrade right away when they have new updates. So the only word of caution. But it's a very versatile system, and you can do a lot with it. Other software side of things, I mean, I've got Nightbot for my bots, and then Mix It Up is my other bot that runs a different set of functions on my channel. But that's it. Nothing too fancy.
Actually, I've had some streamers say that like don't upgrade OBS, like they refuse because they got burnt in the past where things break and then they add new features and then it becomes a headache. Um,
Yeah. The last update they did, I waited a couple weeks and then I updated and had a lot of problems till they did like a hot fix, and it's been fine since then. But as with a lot of these, it's maybe good to let it run in the wild for a little bit before making the
mm,
change.
I got you. Got you. Mm, that's pretty cool. Simple setup. There you go. Decent gaming PC. There you go.
Oh, I guess on
Um,
the hardware, I forgot. I do have a Stream Deck. I do use an Elgato Stream Deck, which is huge. I highly recommend. Use it from a productivity standpoint, just quick access to different apps, and you can also change functions and actions together. And then I use it for stream because it's right there, and I don't have to go click on different things in OBS. Just hit the button and change scenes, change volume, set off actions as well. Like you can do a lot with the Stream Deck. So they are recommended if you can afford one. They are a great addition to stream.
I have a love hate with mine. I really do. Like
What's the hate part?
because sometimes it doesn't work. Like there was like a
Ah, okay.
it's more software related than hardware related.
I've
And
never had
then
any problems with mine yet. Knock on wood, but it's great. No, I love it. It's great functionality.
yeah, but it was a gift, so I can't really be mad since I didn't buy it. But I do have a love hate with it. Um, okay, let me ask you this in a two-part. What inspired you to start streaming in general? And then what inspired you? You said you took a hiatus. And then what inspired you to come back? Let's do it in two parts.
Um, yeah, I mean, I would not even really count the initial time that I spent streaming. Like it was doing a couple test streams, really just to learn. That was my main ambition when I was getting into it. To be honest, it was my son that got me into Twitch, and I was like, "Wait, you watch people play video games instead of playing video games?" He's like, "Yeah, it's cool." I was like, "That makes no sense." And this was this is a long time ago. I don't know exactly how many years back. Probably 6, 7-ish years ago. And I will admit I didn't really get it at first. But I would occasionally tune into like a stream. I followed a few people here and there. Um, wasn't super engaged for a while, and then I came back to Twitch. And to be honest, when I really like dove back into Twitch, what I like a little bit during COVID, it was like a reignition of just seeing what people are up to. Finding out what games are getting played, that sort of thing. That got me spending more time on Twitch. And then I was doing a lot of gaming during lockdown as well, and re-immersing myself in gaming culture because I'd kind of been a bit of a hermit, even post COVID, as we all were. And I was playing Cyberpunk 2077, and I think I was on my second playthrough. And this was like late last year. It was December, January. No, it was actually 2 years. 2023. Okay, it's last year. um, and like I saw there was a announcement for Twitch drops for a gun in Cyberpunk. And to be honest, I had never like collected Twitch drops before that, or I'd never paid attention to them. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to find a channel that that's playing Cyberpunk because I just want the gun. I don't even I'm not that interested in watching anyone play it. Then I was scrolling through and I came across Close channel, and at the time she was streaming
bimbo.
under a different name, but I immediately clicked into her thumbnail because she had the big drops in her title, and then something else that I can't remember what, but it made me laugh. And she looked like my ex.
Oh damn.
So
Oh damn.
there was a connection immediate there of like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm intrigued, but and I was like, this was kind of a couple months post breakup, so I was very like raw and emotional from all that, and was not in a good headspace. But it's like, this girl has blue hair. She looks like my ex. Like, I'm gonna click in and find out what this is about. And immediately, like, connected with her, connected with the community, and like showed up for every stream that she has done since then. And Chloe is, if anyone's not following Chloe, they absolutely should. She is the light of my life. Like, she is someone I know very well. Like she is a good friend now, and it all started from like Twitch, and from that, like that connection with her, I met Lady, and I met Gato, and I met Pete, and so many other people in this circle that just kind of continued to spiral out. I met Yen. Yentl is also a dear mutual, and it's funny. Yen and I started streaming within like a week of each other, so I think we kind of got into the journey very roughly at the same time. And I remember like chatting on Chloe's stream because Chloe is very supportive of other streamers. She's just a very supportive individual in general. And she was like, who's streaming? Who's interested in streaming? Like, you should do it. And I actually think David was in one of those streams when we were discussing these things early on too, because David and I connected in Chloe's stream.
Mm-hmm.
And he attributes like my encouragement or connection in helping him take the leap to start streaming. But really, I feel like we all kind of feed off each other, and like encourage each other and make this safe space to get out there and express ourselves and connect, just because of the community that exists. So how I got started in it was really just becoming part of a larger community, and that really started with Chloe and her community, and then it snowballed. It was very much a snowball effect of like, what Chloe has given to me in terms of connection and entertainment and like a place to be. I wanted to give that back out into the world as well. Like, I very much took her positive energy and her everything that she put forth, because she had very much a similar reason for starting streaming as well. She, streams were a safe place for her. They were a sense of community. It was a place where the weird kid could go and hang out and be connected. So I very much felt that. I felt that she lived that, and I wanted to push that forward. Like, never within any of this have I had any interest of becoming like a household name, or I have no interest in chasing fame. But what I do endeavor with streaming is to create a space that other people can come, can feel loved, can feel accepted, that can share and have a sense of community. I'm very big in community. I do a lot of IRL stuff with community, and online communities have also been a huge part of my development as an individual, as a human. And if I can do anything to make that like exist for someone else, then I feel like I'm being successful in life.
Okay. All right. Well, that large of a plug, I'm gonna go ahead and watch there's shout out Clove. So if anyone does not follow,
like, do we just want to play more
streamer,
I can just jump in and start playing
like,
more
she's
tree.
absolutely gorgeous.
Or do we want to run a little
She's
bit of
fun.
and then play more tree?
She's got a cool vibe to her channel.
Yeah,
she also prefers Vegemite to Marmite, which I appreciate.
This is true.
I appreciate. And I did watch a lot of her cyberpunk content. She inspired me to want to play the game. I still do. But hey, what's up, Knives? How are you? How are you? Archives. I see you on Kick. But yeah, you should definitely check out Chloe on Twitch. She's a incredible streamer. and a fun person to be around. And she's got a larger community, which has spawned smaller communities, it sounds like. And it looks like both you and Ancient David are exactly that. So, awesome.
Yeah, no, I think she's had a huge influence on a lot of people, and yeah, I love her to the Death Star and back. Like, do anything for her. So.
Nice. Kivs, we're doing an interview. That's my content on Sundays. I do interview content, and I interview other streamers. And today we are interviewing Clevvur. We're interviewing Clevvur on Twitch. Good, handsome gentleman you see here, and he's a fun vibe. So come check him out. Do you stream on Kick at all, or have you thought about it?
No. I sticking to Twitch. Thought potentially like YouTube, but I got my start on Twitch. I think this is where the vast majority of my community is, and I think that I haven't had any interest in really looking to branch out from that.
Mm-hmm. And also, Chloe almost exclusively played Cyberpunk for a period of time.
She does. She tends to hyperfixate.
Yep.
She started with Overwatch, and then she got into Baldur's Gate, which is really where she kind of broke big.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cyberpunk, and she's currently on an Elden Ring hyperfixation. So.
Nice. Well, that one can last a long time. Nice. Because there's so much you can do in Elden Ring. And then has she even touched the DLC yet?
No, we're still making our way through main game.
Damn.
So I'm trying to think. We just defeated Mog in the underground Mog. I'm blanking. There's 2 Mogs, but she doesn't know that, so don't tell her.
Yeah, she doesn't know that. She says
no, so I also mod for closed channel, and a lot of time it's like having to not disclose any backseating or any spoilers or anything like that.
Yeah, she specifically says no backseating. Like, it's in the title a lot of times, or pinned, no backseating, which I'm like, oh, it's hard not to want to
sit on my
up.
hands. There's so many things I want to say stuff. I'm like, nope. Just gotta be quiet.
Or spoilers, no spoilers. So yeah, check out Chloe. Yeah, and I do want to play Cyberpunk. I've heard nothing but good things since its launch. I was just kind of salty at its launch because it launched like a lead balloon. But it's got better.
Had a really rough launch, but I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite games.
True.
And the DLC is fantastic. Can't say enough good things about Cyberpunk. I think it. From a epic narrative storytelling perspective, it was great. The side quests were all really well done and thought out. There's tons of Easter eggs. Like, I still haven't found some Easter eggs. There's some riddles, and there's a couple big riddles in the game that the developers say have not been solved. And I'm excited for their next launch because they're big on doing like transmedia or ARGs, alternative reality gaming, where you actually have gameplay extending beyond the digital into the physical world, like with puzzles and riddles and stuff like that. So it should be really cool.
Okay. All right, let me ask you this. How has your streaming style evolved since you first started streaming?
Well, I haven't been streaming all that long. I started mid-June, and I think it was mid to late June. I can't remember exactly what day I started of this past year. So it would have been about 4 months. Yeah, I think it's about 4 months because I've got a couple subscribers that just hit their 4-month renewal. So I don't know. I don't know that I'd have too much insight from an evolution standpoint, because I think every day is kind of uncovering new things and trying new things. I guess, maybe something I didn't anticipate when I started streaming was the co-working portion of my streams I do. So I figured I would just start, with gameplay, because I like playing games, and why not hang out with people that also like to play games and, be part of that community. So that was very much my intention when I started streaming. And then a couple months back, I was like, well, I could actually like turn on stream and do co-working, which is something I was doing anyways, like sitting in front of my computer, working on projects and trying to be productive and utilizing methods that I use to make sure that I'm productive in my day. And like, again, kind of my same ambitions with my stream is to make a place that is helpful and positive for people. Like I could do that with co-working as well, because I'd heard about body doubling, and I have ADHD, so I know that like there's certain techniques that I use that help me with executive dysfunction and impulse control and some things like that. So why not just make a space that would also help people with some of the same challenges? And that has actually accelerated over the past couple months and is becoming honestly the majority of what I stream, because I stream during the day, my co-working streams. And now Twitch has rolled out a new category dedicated to coding and co-working, which has seen a great deal of success. So I was invited into the Creators Club when I was at TwitchCon, when I heard about it. And now I'm on my first stream team, which is the co-working stream team, which is pretty cool. So I'm starting to connect with others in the community and like learning how they're running their streams. And I think there is going to be a continued evolution of my co-working streams and studying streams to just keep getting those better and have more add-ons, because one of the things that I struggle with is when stream ends. Like I actually kind of feel bad that the body doubling, the co-working, and the productivity exists just in this window. And I know there's a lot of people that kind of need to utilize that even past when stream is over. So I'm working on some tools and some other tools would be the best way to put it, I guess. Other things that people can use even when I'm not streaming to make sure they're staying productive, they're staying on task, can kind of help things full circle. So it's not just when I'm streaming. So I think the streaming is great for the accountability, for the connection, for the body doubling, but we still want to be productive and we still want to accomplish the things that we want to do even outside of stream. And I want to help people make that a reality. So more to come on that.
So you're co-working. Yeah, okay, so that's how you have evolved. So it's your first stream, is leaning into the co-working and diversifying and pivoting into that content. That's pretty cool. Yeah, maybe there's something that connects with Discord, so the tasks get tracked and can be, completed off stream in your Discord. That would be cool.
Yeah, I thought about extending it potentially to Discord. I'm also a Notion user, and I know Notion can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. So I was going to create like some very basic templates and just make those free for anyone that wants to utilize them. And there are some, you can do some programming within Notion as well, and there's some APIs. So we may even be able to get those things to connect, and may initially be manual input, but I can envision something where like they're more connected, and maybe I have another bot that's sending tasks back and forth and things like that. So
yep. Kai's had a few questions. He wanted to know, did you start webcam or no cam at the start? And then he had comments about your thumb rings. Are those uncomfortable? And
the thumb rings?
Yeah.
I made these.
Oh, you made? Like that's another hat you have? You're a jewelry maker?
I learned jewelry making in high school.
Oh, that's cool.
So I learned silversmithing, and I learned lost wax casting and.
Oh, we had another lag spike. Another lag spike. Not sure if it's me or Clevvur. Lag spike. Yeah, that is cool. That is cool.
Let me know when I'm back.
You're back.
Hear you.
You're back. You're
okay.
back. Okay.
I say it might be on my side. I think there's something on my ISP, unfortunately. So I apologize.
I'm
not sure where.
So I'm very
where we lost it.
Nope. You talked about that you were a jewelry maker. Did you also start as a face cam streamer from the very start, or did you grow into that?
I did. I started with Facecam. It's not a fancy cam. I guess we didn't touch on that from a hardware standpoint, but it's just Logitech 920. It's it's kind of a workhorse of the, I think, early starting streamer world, and it's a cheap webcam that gets the job done.
Yeah, Koji loves your setup, and Geofracture Games wants to know silversmithing. Does that mean you're handling cyanide?
No, we didn't have to. Yeah, I mean, we were already receiving the silver in ingots, and then we just had to melt it down with a blowtorch. So we weren't like refining silver. we were getting ingots that we'd melt down, gold, that sort of stuff.
Koji also wants to know, can you enchant those rings?
To keep up with those skills. Can I enchant them? I haven't tried. I guess that's something to look into. I am a fan of the witchy stuff out there. So maybe if there's any enchanters that want to collaborate, like, let me know.
Gotcha. And then, yeah, you've got quite the nerd wall. We will discuss your nerd wall behind you in a little bit. I do want to get to that. I do want to get to that content. And I think I had another question from Ives. 1 second. He wants to know, does entertainment value or skill matter more in streaming? I was streaming games. You just have to be entertaining, in my opinion. Like, you can either be very good at said video game, like a 0.01%er, speed runner, top, championship competitor in said game, or you can just be funny as hell and people will watch you. It's the whole goal is to be entertaining. Would you agree with that, Clevvur?
I would agree. Yeah, I think, and it's all subjective. Like, I don't think anyone should sit there and try to compare themselves to someone else. It's your people will find you. I often say, like, what you're seeking is seeking you, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. And so, and you don't need to. I guess my point being with that is, you don't need to be like someone else to be successful. I'm terrible at games for the most part. There's some things I'm good at, but for the most part, I am a mid player at best. But I sure have a hell of a lot of fun while I'm doing it. So even if I'm dying to end game boss in Liza P for the 20th time, and I'm not getting tilted, and okay, I'm starting to get a little tilted at that point. But as I'm talking through it and I'm having fun doing it, I think that chat still vibes with that. So they're not necessarily. It might even be more entertaining to them when I magically pull something off, because I do suck. And we all just get to enjoy that little magical moment because it was fun and entertaining. So yeah, I would agree, Gato. It is what you are, and you don't have to be good at games. You don't also necessarily have to be entertaining. Some people may not be there for the entertainment. Your people will find you.
Yep, Koji brought a good point. Or you can be so bad that it's funny. Like, that's also entertaining.
Absolutely a skill. 100%.
Yep. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in growing your channel?
I don't know, to be honest. I think it's too young, and I wouldn't necessarily say growth has been an ambition of mine. I've just been letting it happen organically. Like, I worked in marketing. I've worked in growth for companies. I understand all the concepts behind it, and I'm not really applying any of those things to my channel. Like, maybe at some point I will, but I'm enjoying this, like, slow growth and this organic growth.
Yep.
And I think it is due to the community. It's due to the network and the extensions of that community. Like, Twitch is this huge place, but it's also very, very small. And I am, like, generally no more than 3 degrees of separation to some other streamer or some other connection. And it's kind of fascinating how that all works. So I wouldn't say I'm not doing anything to force growth. I'm not actively doing anything other than being part of the community, trying to caring more about giving than receiving. And I think that's just kind of a good, healthy approach to most things. and it tends to come back to you. You get back what you put out in the world.
Yep. And then with the whole growth thing, like if you have high expectations of fast, rapid growth, you will be severely disappointed, and your mentals and emotionals will go down with it. Because the only way to grow that fast is inorganically, which is basically, another streamer dumping, communities into you and helping you grow, whether that be artificial or official. But
and that can absolutely be a thing. I go back to like the idea of community and networking. I hit affiliate in a week.
Yep.
But a huge part of that was Chloe was shouting me out. Olivia was rating me. Like, I am friends with a lot of partners that for whatever reason, like, love and adore me, and I love and adore them.
Mhm.
And like, they were immediately like, everyone assemble. We're gonna go help out Clevvur. And I like, that has made a world in difference in my growth. I know that not everyone is that lucky to have some people advocating for them, like, right out of the gates. So,
and you pay that forward
on that.
Well,
yeah, I spent a lot of time building those relationships before I went live, and modding for other people's channels and gaining trust, and being parts of larger communities that do honestly care about me for whatever reason. And we're like there as soon as I did the go live, and have continued to support me since. And I just show up, and the people that really put in all the work are my community and the larger community, and I have nothing but love for all of them. So.
Yeah, Ancient David had good things to say about you, that you were one of the people that helped push him to get affiliate, help him get over that hump, and then like discoverability, and then now you guys have evolved into these smaller community circles that overlap quite a bit, but it's part of having cool people to hang out with online.
Yeah, 100%. And now I have people that come into my stream that have since started streaming, so we go raid them. Even if I show up with 15, 20 people, like, it's huge when they were sitting there with 1 or 2 viewers, and then all of a sudden they got this influx, and they get super excited, and I love paying it forward to other people that I know in my community that are just trying to build a community as well. So
yeah, actually,
it's a very reciprocal thing.
Yeah, that's how I ended up following Ancient David, was you rated him. And I was like, all right, this dude's doing the journey. Let's do this. Like, followed him. And then he rated me back. And then I was like, well, now it's on the table. Maybe I can interview this guy. And we had a great interview today. So,
100%.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Is there a particular moment or achievement in your streaming career that stands out, especially memorable? Like, when you're you can even do a top 3 of like memorable your streaming moments.
Gosh, I don't know. I think there were some boss fights that we won in Elden Ring that stand out. Beating the Elden Beast on stream felt good. I think, there was some of the getting through these struggles with chat cheering me on and showing up and encouraging me through difficult fights are some of the most memorable moments that I have. I don't know. I don't have anything that too much that stands out like that I accomplished. It's more so like every stream still feels awesome when people show up and I get to talk to them and I get to find out how their day went and I get to share things with them about my day. And so it's like, I don't know, every stream is memorable in its own way. So I struggle in picking out like some super cool moments. I don't know.
All right. And then how do you decide what content or games to stream? Like, how do you go about doing that?
There's no planning whatsoever.
Nice. I dig it.
I look at a game and I decide that's what I'm going to play. The
Mhm.
the only caveat I'd say is like this month I decided I would try to do scarier or darker themed games. So I started with Resident Evil. I'm going to try to play as many of the Resident Evils as I can this month. I'm planning
Great
to do
answer.
Alien Isolation as a special stream on
Oh.
Halloween.
Oh,
do we get a...
No, keep going. I was just remembering Alien Isolation because I was like, oh, it is a horror masterpiece, but like I don't like scary games, so like I was
I'm
basically
generally not a huge
poofy
fan,
the entire
so...
time. So
yeah, I was encouraged to play it, so I'm gonna do it. I have not played it. It's just been sitting in my backlog.
It is
I
a
know very
masterpiece,
little
though.
about it, but chat's probably gonna have a great time with that because I don't like scary games either. And so I'm probably gonna be edge of my seat and shrieking occasionally. So you all can enjoy that one.
That's pretty cool.
And I have some indies. I have some indies that maybe touch on darker themes or are darker worlds that haven't gotten a lot of play or a lot of notoriety, and I'm planning on just kind of mixing them in this month as I go through stuff. But honestly, yeah, there's no preparation. It's kind of like what's downloaded and what do I feel like playing.
Interesting. And what do you think sets your community apart from other communities?
I don't necessarily know. I'd say what I know about my community is that it's very close knit, and like almost everyone in my community is connected to another community, and even people that have come into my community are now parts of other communities. And a lot of us are friends outside of stream. We are connected on Steam and we play together, or on Battle.net, or the vast majority of people I am close friends with and game with, and they have all like their tendrils also extend out to other communities and to other communities. So I guess intimate would maybe be a word for that. Just like very close, very connected, very welcoming. I think my community has been great at welcoming new people in that stumble upon the stream because of the game I'm playing. Like I had a lot of people come in for Liza P that were like, "Oh, I love this game. I'm so happy to see you streaming it. I hate this game, but I'm gonna watch you play it." And they are now regulars, and they, again, we've connected offline. They have followed me into other communities or other people that I've shouted out to that they're now active participants in those communities. But I don't know if that makes me unique. I don't know if it's different than other communities, but my community, I think, is very close knit, very tight, and I love them all to death. So.
Very nice. Let me ask you this: how do you manage to keep your streams engaging and entertaining for both newer viewers and longtime viewers?
I have no idea. Why they continue to show up. Apparently they like me or something. No, it's something that I do think about often, is kind of like, what can I do to continue to make it worth coming back or to make it interesting? I think one of the things is showing genuine interest, like in everyone. I know all these names, I know all these usernames, and some of these people I know beyond usernames. Like I know them IRL, or we hang out on Discord, and they're more than just a username. But like I'm genuinely interested in everyone, and if like someone doesn't show up for a little while, I'm gonna go check on them and make sure they're still they're good and nothing's up, and if they need help with anything. I think that connection, like, definitely is something that I enjoy having with the community, and it does seem that people genuinely come back and like want to know how Clevvur's doing and like what's up in Clevvur's world. And I think being I guess, vulnerable, for lack of a better word, and being authentic and having authenticity and how you communicate and connect with your community goes a long way. Because there's no, this is me. I don't have a caricature. There's no like on-air personality. I very much show up as myself and conduct myself as such. There's no performance to the stream, and I think people appreciate that. And in terms of like other things, like I'm trying to think up games we can play, and more interactive things that I would like to have like cross different channels and go beyond just the stream. Well, that's an infant stage, so I haven't rolled it out yet. But I'm hoping to create more engaging things beyond just the mid gameplay.
Yeah, Ray Dog wants to know, were you nervous doing your first stream?
Oh, hell yeah. Abso-frickin-lutely. I think anyone is, and I did several like test recordings on OBS where I played and I talked to myself, just to kind of get comfortable with that in terms of like what might potentially break or what might not go right. And I would watch that recording back to make sure I had like good positioning with my mic and good framing, and listening, getting very comfortable listening to my own voice was really helpful, because it's weird hearing your own voice. I'm comfortable with it now, but for a long time, like I hated listening to the recording of my voice. But even with earbuds, like I still kind of hear myself while I'm talking. Getting comfortable with all that, getting comfortable like being in front of a screen, and I think doing lots of dry runs is really what helped make that nervousness not so bad.
Yeah,
but yes, definitely still was nervous.
I think that's cool that you have a tight knit community, so much so that you notice when somebody's not there. I did the same thing with Ray Dog. Ray Dog is in Aurora, and as you know, they have some Venezuelan issues out there, and I was worried. But I think you're also Colorado. You've mentioned that, so you're familiar with the scenario.
I am. Yeah, not too far from Denver.
There you go. You guys, hey, you could meet up with Ray Dog, baby.
That's true. I'm always looking for new hiking friends.
Nice. All right. Let's do another question. Are there any games you enjoy playing off stream that you might surprise your viewers with? You need the exercise. Nice.
Let's see. What am I playing off stream these days? I mentioned Space Marine 2. Like I would totally stream that. It's just I don't want to kill my system or have a choppy stream. But I'm a huge Warhammer fan. I've been collecting and playing Warhammer Tabletop for more years than I care to admit. So I do play a lot of like the Warhammer games. I don't know if there's anything I play that would be too surprising. I play a lot of MTG Arena. So I played Magic the Gathering since inception. I used to collect. I have stopped because it's a very dangerous habit. But my card collecting started in alpha and beta, just like to let you guys know how long I've been playing Magic. So I play Arena these days. That's kind of one of my fun, guilty pleasures.
Wait, what's the most expensive card you have?
I will not say.
Wait, do you have a Black Lotus? Otherwise, you will get yourself killed for that card.
I have been collecting for a very long time. TCG Card Shop Sim, which I did play on stream. I do play off stream a healthy amount as well.
Geofracture Games wants to know, as a gamer, what do you think the future of games will look like?
That's a big question. What do I think the future of games will look like? So in my professional life, I do spend a lot of time gaming adjacent as well. And I've been a huge advocate for play as like instrumental to life. I think once we reach a certain period in our growth trajectory, I won't say adulthood necessarily, but I feel that there comes a point where society sort of deems the idea of play as no longer relevant. And I counter that play is probably one of the most important things we do as humans. And I would even go beyond that and say play is instrumental to most creatures' survival. You know, I think that gaming is going to only continue to grow. It's only going to become more connected in our day-to-day lives. You know, I don't know if anyone's familiar with the term gamification. It's kind of a buzzword term, and it's been a little bit bastardized, but the core mechanics around gamification are rather solid. And it's the idea of developing anything. It could be products, it could be methodologies, it could be approaches to things, but using gameplay mechanics or gameplay elements inside of those construction, inside the construction of whatever it is you're trying to build. And like social media caught on to that. There's sort of this concept of like there's light elements and there's dark elements inside of game design, because at the end of the day, it's all plays upon psychology. And social media tapped in some of the darker triads or darker attributes of game design. There's really like 8 main components of game design. Kind of looks like a wheel or a compass. I'm not going to go into all of that. But some of them are like, you know, feedback systems, social proof, rewards, et cetera, et cetera. And like, you know, getting that notification on your phone of a new mention or a new post or something else like that very much taps into this kind of hard wiring inside of us and this reward system inside of us. And I think that we're only going to see, this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg in terms of integrating game design elements into everyday life interactions. So where do I think gaming is going to go with that is I think we're going to see, you're going to start seeing gameplay existing inside of professional environments, inside of work. You're going to see gameplay existing within your day-to-day life in terms of we are all going to become avatars inside of a hero's journey, and you're going to, you know, put on the Apple, oh crap, what's it called? The augmented reality goggles. I'll just summarize it with Ready Player One. Like, I don't think we are too terribly far off from Ready Player One and having a deeper immersion inside of alternate realities that cross over into real life. And I think VR and AR are still very early stage, and we need the hardware to continue to accelerate before it's going to become as pervasive as like console gaming or mobile gaming or anything else. But I think we are well on our way to having gaming just not necessarily be a bifurcation between gaming and life. It's just we're going to game life. And that being said, I worry about that because gaming exists primarily as a leisure pursuit or an escapism. And when you no longer have it for escapism, like, and it just becomes every day, that could kind of suck.
Yeah, it's recreation.
I hope we don't go that direction. Like, it should still be escapism.
Yep. Ray Dog wants to know if you've ever gone into political content, political conversations, anything government related importance.
I generally don't delve into those too much, especially, you know, on my channel. Like, I'm happy to discuss things, but I also have very clear boundaries for like when I feel like I'm edging up against something I don't want to discuss on stream. And, you know, I'm just very clear about that. In general, I think everyone's entitled to their opinions, and you know, it's not something that I'm looking to be convinced differently of or convincing anyone else of something different. Happy to have good exchanges, but I don't like arguing for arguing's sake, which often feels like most political conversations are these days.
Yep. I dabble in it, but I have to quickly distract my community with boobas or booties to get
That's
away
a good
from that
distraction.
because that conversation can get heated because it can get I will say there's a lot of division in that content, and it can get gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think so as well. And I mean, I would love it if we could have open discourse and we could be appreciative of people's, all of their viewpoints. I think that genuinely everyone is coming at something with the information that they have, with the, the bias that may be ingrained in them from their upbringing or from their religion or their society. And I've lived in a lot of places in this world and I've experienced a lot of different cultures. So I also have to appreciate that's kind of a privilege for me to have those multiple perspectives and to have exposure to so many different ways of living that I can kind of take more of this middle ground approach. And I don't tend to get hard locked into one viewpoint. I'm very much like, I want to hear where people are coming from. I want to hear where their fears lie, where their passions lie. And it's not my job to change those opinions or those fears, but maybe I can potentially offer some insights or I can share some experiences of my own that could give someone like pause to kind of think more openly and more broadly about their perspective. And like, I love those kind of discussions. And I same, like, I don't know everything. I was a philosophy major, so I'm very much like, I know that I do not know. And there are experiences people have had that I have not had. They have perspectives, that they're coming to things that I want to be open to and to consume and to appreciate and reflect back to them. So I love it when we can have those types of conversations. I just feel oftentimes people struggle with that, which is a bit of a shame.
Interesting. Yep. Those some good viewpoints. This is a dangerous question because there's so many answers. Because I've already learned that from hanging out in your community. What are some hobbies or interests outside of gaming and streaming that Clevvur's into? Yeah, this is a big one. So you already opened. You still dabble in jewelry smithing?
I do occasionally. Yeah, I'm consummate poster child for ADHD, the gifted child.
I also
I'm like the meme of you've hardly touched your potential, dear.
Like in our interview with Ancient David, you knew the exact mushroom that was on his hat.
Yes.
Why did you know that?
One of my hobbies is I forage for mushrooms. So I forage for wild mushrooms in the mountains here in Colorado. It's a very it has a pretty amazing diversity of mushrooms for the mountains, which I didn't know before I moved here. I was born and raised on the West Coast, and you're used to lush environments and moss and mushrooms growing everywhere, but we actually have an awesome amount of mushrooms up here in Colorado as well. Some great varieties, some really choice edible mushrooms, and by that I mean culinary edible. We do not have a lot of the other types of variety edibles that people think of. And in the mushroom that David had on his hat, the Amanita muscata or fly agaric, it is a psychoreactive mushroom, but it is not the psilocybin family. So it does have certain alkaloids in it that will kind of make you feel funny. It's classified as a toxic mushroom. There's a lot of speculation that the berserkers of ancient Viking lore consumed a healthy amount of that specific mushroom because it does give you a euphoria and a feeling of, you can kind of do anything and take on anything. So it's a very well-known mushroom in Europe and the US. But you also have to be very careful because the relative of that one is the death head mushroom, which looks very similar. And that one will just right out kill you. All mushrooms are edible, just some of them you can only eat once.
Yep.
I will say that.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Okay.
But yeah, that's just one of the things I hunt for. It's a king bolete. There's a couple varieties within it, but it's essentially porcini is what it's most closely related to. It's just very specific to the Rocky Mountain region. That is one of my favorite mushrooms to go hunt for. I need to post some pictures because I found some that are like huge. Like they get up to this big. Puffballs and
I've heard.
Scythias and
I've heard giant puffs are delicious with butter. Like
giant puffs are. Yep, you can certainly eat those. There's a lot of mushrooms out there that hawk wings and I'm trying to think of some others right now.
I've heard of chicken of the forest, right? I've heard of that one.
Chicken in the woods. Those don't grow here. Those they're more towards the Midwest and East. I think you can find them in the West as well, but we don't have the right conditions for those, unfortunately. But that is a mushroom I'd love to find, and supposedly it does taste like chicken.
Okay, and then how did you like? I heard to be like a shroomer or somebody that forges for that. You absolutely need to be trained by somebody, is what I've heard. Like,
it is recommended. Yeah, I wouldn't go out and raw dog that.
No.
So I have some friends that were into it, and I went out with them, and it was very helpful to have someone who was already trained show you what to look for in the mushrooms. And I also got multiple books with lots of pictures and that talked about the different families of mushrooms and all the things you need to look for, the indicators, because there are some mushrooms that are very similar, but there's one or two distinguishing characteristics will be different. And that could mean the difference between a delicious dinner and sitting on the toilet for the next 6 hours. So you don't want to make those mistakes.
Wait, have you experienced that mistake?
I have not.
Oh, thank goodness.
I am conservative when it comes to my mushroom picking. If I'm not 110% certain on the mushroom I'm about to eat, I just I look at it, I take pictures of it, and I move on. I only pick the mushroom if I know that it's absolutely
it's lying in a slab in the morgue. True, cat dude. True.
Yeah, you don't. There are ones that will, and it's interesting. There are even some mushrooms that are fine on their own, but if you mix them with alcohol, it will create a toxic reaction in your system that will then kill you.
Thanks.
And not a lot of people know that. So yeah, there's all kinds of intricacies into the space. I highly recommend anyone getting into it to find a seasoned forager or look for workshops. Those are becoming more popular where they will do some classroom dissection of mushrooms and kind of teach you all the different pieces and what to look for, and then lead you out on guided forages. And those can be super helpful because then they'll also teach you about what are the, because there's a symbiosis oftentimes between certain trees and certain mushrooms. So when I'm hunting specific mushrooms, I'm looking for a specific type of tree because there's a symbiotic relationship between that tree's chemistry and the mycelium of that particular variety of mushroom. So you will have a much higher likelihood of finding that particular mushroom if you find that particular tree.
I would just avoid them altogether. They taste too metallic for me, and I don't care for the texture, says the cat dude. Some people, that's
a lot of people have had bad interactions with grocery store mushrooms or canned mushrooms, and I totally understand that. I used to not like mushrooms either, but there's a very wide variety of mushrooms out there that have different flavor profiles and different textures. It's definitely worth trying to experience mushrooms from a not the commercial side of things. I definitely have a greater appreciation for them now.
Okay. That was just 2 of your hobbies.
Oh, yeah,
let me dovetail into the third one I know about before I cut you loose on this question, because I know there's more that I don't know about. But let me. Oh crap! Where did it go? Is it no? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Sorry, I found it. Let me shout out this channel, which you got those, and Clevvur's community channel. Absolutely need to follow. Absolutely. And that is the Clevvur Beats channel.
Oh,
Yeah. If you guys didn't know it, your streamer in a past life was a DJ. And is still a DJ. Can you tell
Yes.
us about that hobby and that lore?
I got into DJing a very long time ago. I started with vinyl records.
Wow, you're like an OG, literally on vinyl. Wow.
Yeah, my Technique 1200s and my Roland mixer. You know, I've always been a fan of. Okay, I've always been a fan of music. I play trumpet, bass guitar, piano, and well, that's it on like the instrument side of things. So like I've always been around music my whole life. I am definitely jam polyjamorous, as they say. Like I appreciate all different genres of music. I love to mix different genres, and that's kind of what got me into the DJing, is like seeing that people could take two different records from two vastly different genres and they could beat match them and create something completely different. So I was very intrigued by that. And I started like with some really crappy turntables and some Goodwill records. Like I was mixing like Dolly Parton with I'm trying to think of what else, but just like the most obscure genres I could find at Goodwill for like, $1 a vinyl record, and started to teach myself how to beat match. And then I started to teach myself how to scratch, because turntablism was very much a popular thing at the time in my ill-spent youth. So I started like DJing house parties. Was very much into lyrical hip hop and house music and techno. Like we're talking Chemical Brothers, New Vegas, Aphrodite. Like there, so many names I'm blanking on right now. We'll just say late 90s, early 2000s. I was very much in the rave culture. I grew up in the Bay Area, where the kind of in the U.S. it was a hotbed for raves, and this is back in the day where there would be flyers posted all around the city, and you had to like call a number that then sent you somewhere to a drop location where there was a map that then sent you to another map where you had to call another number, because they figured at that point you're probably not a cop if you've gone through that many different steps. That led you to some sketchy warehouse in Oakland where there's like a chain link fence knocked down and different rooms filled with lights and different DJ setups, and it was an incredible time. I absolutely loved it, and was very much enamored with the music, with the community, the Candy Kids and Plur and all of that. Peace, love, unity, respect being like this very deep-seated sense of community. And I just dived into it, and I started to get started with house parties, but then I started to get like booked gigs and played some clubs in San Francisco and Oakland area. Worked my way up Oregon, up into Portland as well, and Seattle. And yeah, my specialty was jungle and drum and bass, and I imported a lot of like white label vinyls out of like very obscure unknown labels out of the UK, because the UK was blowing up with drum and bass at that period. It was a wonderful time period, and then I got into music production. I had my own record shop for a while, and I still occasionally produce music. I'm way behind on creating some stuff, but that's a little bit about it. I've done some collab stuff with Macklemore. I have some credits out there. So, yeah.
What? You can't just drop a hint like that, not expand on that story. What do you mean you had a Macklemore collab there?
Back before Thrift Shop hit, and he was just an unknown Seattleite.
Really?
If anyone wants to Google on Spotify or search on Spotify for Eastern Suns, that's Suns with a Z, that is a group I formed way back in the day. They're still around. I don't have as much to do with them, but we did do some work with Macklemore. So yeah, that's on the lyrical hip hop side of things.
Interesting. And then, as part of potential diversifying your content, you launched your Clevvur Beats channel to potentially do the DJ content all over again.
I did. I haven't had the time to dive into it, but when they announced the DJ program and the recommendation for a separate channel, that's why I created it, and it's something that I'd like to revisit and get back into. But for right now, it's just a placeholder. I do, in the co-working side of things, I see a lot of opportunity to collaborate with DJs that may want to mix more chill, jazzy kind of stuff during a co-working stream and kind of actually have some navigation over the playlist. I think could be really cool. So I have been trying to connect more in the DJ community. One of my friends, Nye Beats, is pretty well known in the DJ category, and she has definitely rekindled my love of the music and has been a big impetus for me wanting to get back into mixing and producing music. So that's on. It's kind of on the back burner for now, but it's very much like it. I can feel the urge.
You can feel the urge. Nice. Oh yeah, even this cat has a DJ channel, but I have been streaming on it. The goal is 2 DJ streams a month. Just kind of hang out and jam out. I'm terrible, by the way, but I think that's part of the process.
Yes,
you gotta suck before you're good.
100%.
You gotta learn the hard way.
I mean, progress. It's not perfection. It's progress, and the technology these days is pretty fascinating. I'm still very old school, but I've appreciating more from Nee and learned a little bit of what she's doing. The technology is so much more accessible, which is fascinating. But at the same time, I kind of miss the old school. But I'm not gonna shit on it by any means. They do not need to go backwards. The new technology is great. It's just I need to learn it.
Yeah, because you shouldn't have to lug around cases of vinyls. The fact
I still have my crates. I still have my vinyls.
Wait, how many vinyls would you say you have?
Hundreds.
Hundreds of vinyls? Damn.
Yeah, easily. They're a lot to carry around, for sure.
Yeah, they're heavy. Okay, and then that
was the DJ stuff.
That's the DJ stuff, and then you potentially could do music streams since you said you're a musician, and then you could potentially do. Would you ever do an IRL foraging stream out of the mountains if you had the reception and could do an IRL?
I have thought about this, but the places I go, there is no reception whatsoever. So the best I'm probably gonna be able to do is turn on, my cam and put it on a chest mount or something and record it and then post it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I barely scratched the surface. I will now cut you loose on this question. What other hobbies does Clevvur do? What other ones? ADHD, a gift and a curse in one.
I do a lot of things. I mean, I mentioned Warhammer, so painting
minis. Oh, pause for a moment. We got a lag spike. Let's hold.
Let me know when we're back.
All right, we are back. All right, you said minis. You paint minis, Warhammer 40K.
I do paint my Warhammer minis. That's kind of one of my fun, relaxing hobbies. I do art stuff. Paint.
Like what? Paint pictures?
Painting, drawing. I like some of the emojis I've created or emotes on my channel I've created, and I've created some emotes for other people's channels like
Oh, you have?
Rainy and Chloe and Chai. Yeah, I've created a few different emotes for people. Have a fun little chibi style I do. Like the Ronnie emote is one of mine that I'm rather proud of. I'm a little Ronnie.
Oh, you made that. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous.
Let's see what else. I do cosplay construction. Like I'm not big into. Yeah, and I did. I'm not subscribed to Chai right now. Don't tell him. But his Nina Williams, I did his Nina emote on his channel. I love Chai. Chai's good egg. If anyone's into Tekken, go follow Chai, another Aussie streamer. I'm really networked with a lot of Aussies. It's weird. Let's see. Yeah, cosplay, on the cosplay side of things. So I love foam crafting. So I do armor and weapons and all that good stuff out of EVA foam. I'm not as big into cosplaying, like dressing up myself, but I do like to build costume and pieces for other people. So that's something I geek out about a lot, and I actually am hoping to incorporate into my streams, kind of thinking to the evolution or the future of the stream. I would like to do maybe some workshops or some like kind of office hours for people that need help with their foam construction. Because going to TwitchCon, I met with a lot of cosplayers, and Olivia, who's a dear friend of mine, she cosplayed a couple days, and I was like her. You know, I was following her around. I was essentially like her cosplay medic. We only had a couple things that had to get fixed, but it was still good to like be able to jump in and like fix things for her, and then answered a lot of other people's questions just kind of through conversation about cosplays, and realized there's definitely a need for this and there's a lot of interest. So that's something I would like to evolve into, is having more cosplay content focused really on the fabrication and like some of the tips and tricks I've learned over the years, because there's a lot. There's a lot of ways to skin a cosplay that it's not always apparent, and the resources are vast and spread all over. So
interesting.
Cosplaying is another hobby. Trying to think of some other. A lot of maker hobbies. I also do leatherworking and
leatherworking.
I do that kind of is tangential to the cosplay stuff, but I've learned how to incorporate leather and stamp and mold and all that sort of stuff. I actually started in leatherworking, and then it evolved into working with like EVA foam and things like that. But as a kid, I was, shocker, a huge nerd, and like loved constructing weapons and constructing armor. I started out with like cardboard, and that just evolved into learning then how to work with leather. And woodworking is another one of my hobbies, carving, building furniture. But like I actually just got into it because I could make cool swords and things like that when I was a kid. And
wait, you do woodworking too? You make your own furniture?
I also do woodworking. Yep. Cutting boards, butcher blocks, tables, trying to do some cabinets. Like, yeah, I don't do as much of that these days, but still have all the tools, and I have a lot of fun doing it. But leatherworking is really what I got started with, that because I used to act at Renaissance festivals in the summers where I grew up. Like that was my summer job, was to go be, the flavor in the Renaissance Festival. I was a peasant, so I had to learn how to make my own costumes and how to make. I made my own boots and like gauntlets and all these different pieces of my costume, and had a shit ton of fun doing that. So I just kind of kept learning and building upon these interests and hobbies, and they just kind of all get collected. So yeah. Oh, I crochet. That's also
you crochet too. Nice.
Yep.
No knitting?
Crochet is a lot of fun.
Just crochet?
I haven't revisited knitting. My grandmother taught me knitting back when I was a kid. I'm like, here's one little crochet dinos.
Oh, nice. He's cute.
He's a cute little guy. Yeah, I need to get back into knitting. My grandmother taught me. I actually thought it was super relaxing. And that's kind of like why I like to do crochet. You can just kind of like work on something, keep my hands busy while I'm also doing 10 other things. So yeah, the whole like collecting hobbies things when you're ADHD is 100% accurate. I have way too many things.
Yeah, like how do you all fit it all in your house? Like I was like, where do you store hundreds of records? Like that's incredible.
There's closets.
Yep. Yes, like behind you. Like what
There's
are
also, yes,
art
collections of
pieces
things behind me.
Yeah, but behind you, what art pieces did you make?
Most of that art is actually collected art.
Okay.
And then I've got some Legos back there that I've built.
Oh, you do Lego stuff too? Okay.
Yep, definitely into the Legos. And then I've got some of my Warhammer minis back there.
Mhm.
So it's an assemblage thing. I think, yeah, most of the art is just art I've collected. It goes up. I don't know how far we can actually see.
Okay, I saw a wood thing back there. I was wondering if you made that or if that was collected.
No, that was a gift. That was a gift from. It's the Millennium Falcon, but it was a very cool wood carving.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's hard to see it, but you can kind of see it.
Yeah,
I moved out of the way. Okay. Awesome. I'm assuming those are books, so you do some reading too.
Oh yeah.
And
I've got all the
you said you have a
books, and I'm
background in
into board
philosophy.
games. I've got a ton of board games all over the place.
Okay. Philosophy, does that mean you get into poetry and writing as well?
I do.
Damn. And you're dead.
That too.
And you're a streamer. Bro, how do you have time to comb your hair? And it looks so nice, by the way.
I mean, it's just, that's why it's short on the sides, short, long on the top. Just make it easy.
Nice. Hey, thank you for the follow. Alto. Do you work? Where do you fit time for all of that, says GB Dango?
I kind of have my own thing going right now. You know, that's actually what got me into the co-working thing. Was like I was looking for work due to layoffs. I've worked in tech for a number of years and startups and things like that. So I'm kind of doing my own thing right now. I've always worked on the growth side of business, so sales, marketing, partnerships, stuff like that. I'm kind of freelancing that. So that is what keeps the lights on right now. And then the streaming thing is actually starting to grow, and like that might be able to be something that supports my existence. We'll see. I'm not necessarily counting on it, but it's growing faster than I thought it would, which is kind of cool.
Interesting. Let's talk about your MTGA.
Magic the Gathering?
Yeah. So you stream the game as well as play the cards? Or are you trying?
I haven't streamed it officially. What I was doing for a little while there was during our co-working breaks, I would just throw on like a match or two because I could usually get a match or two done in 10 minutes. But then sometimes you run into an opponent that just wants to run out the clock. And I think I had one match that took like 15 minutes. And I was like, oof, this is not good for productivity. So I'm not sure if I'll bring those back into the breaks. But yeah, I've played Magic for a very long time. I do love the game.
Did you ever do it competitively or do tournaments and stuff?
Long time ago. I used to compete locally at some shops. Like, I won some tournaments and things like that. Nothing too much notoriety. In arena, doesn't happen every month, but most months I land in Mythic. I've still yet to hit top 500, but I've come very, very close a couple times to top 500 in arena. But it's I don't know. Magic to me is kind of, it's where I sort of turn my brain off. It's very much a game where I can go into autopilot. It's relaxing for me to play Magic. So I don't know. I think it takes more of a competitive drive to really want to try to climb those ranks consistently and stay in like the top 500 and win the tournaments online. I just haven't been that driven. So I think that might tarnish my enjoyment of the game potentially.
I gotcha. Okay. And then you've spent vast amount of money on cards or your cardboard crack. Like,
I stopped a long time ago, but I did hang on to those original cards that I was collecting in my youth. So yeah, I have some cards that are difficult to obtain these days.
Interesting. Yeah, Mild Mannered, a streamer friend of mine, says he's got a card that he paid $5,000 for. Like one of the originals.
See, I've never spent more than $10 on a card. I like opening boosters, to be honest. I would spend a couple $100 on boxes of boosters just for the thrill of opening the boosters and the prize. But I would struggle so much more with spending a couple $100 on a single card, even though I know what I'm getting. I don't know. The gambler.
The gambas, which dovetails into you have been enjoying TCG Shop, right? You've been enjoying that game.
I have. That game's fun. Getting to live out my owning a card shop fantasies. It's a very good game. Do recommend.
Yeah, I did mod my version to be Pokemon, and I'm waiting for somebody to mod it to be like Magic the Gathering. I'm sure that mod. Like, both of those are like, okay, it's like, I streamed it, but I got rid of that mod. So I was like, oh man, Nintendo/Pokemon Company will come for me. I know they will. As well as Wizards of the Coast, man. They do not F around with their IP.
They do not. Well, especially now with Mattel. It's Mattel or Hasbro?
Hasbro.
I think it's Mattel. It's Mattel. Isn't it? No, is it Hasbro?
It's Hasbro, yep.
Hasbro bought Wizards. I never remember. Yeah, they've got the legal backing, but the amount of cards, like the expansions and everything else at this stage with Magic, that mod's gonna be huge. Like they'd have to limit it to a couple sets. I get the feeling because there's so many cards in Magic. And I think I'm trying to remember. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Time being subjective, but I saw an article that like they tried to get AI to play Magic with all access to all the cards in existence, and effectively like the AI freaked out. Like it couldn't handle the permeations of deck construction with access to all the cards. It just kind of overwhelmed it from a strategic standpoint, which I thought was fascinating.
Interesting. That's cool, man. That's cool. All right, let's talk about gaming, because you talked about you see the future of gaming going into like a Ready Player One like universe. I'll agree with that. I also think the metaverse aspect is going to be huge for accessibility. Like, I really do think there will be some popular game that will overtake mobile, PC, console, all in one. Like, more so than like Fortnite or whatever. You know how well Fortnite did into that. So I'm interested to see where it goes. Do you game with your son or your family?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of on and off depending on what they want to play. My son is, more into FPS and competitive shooters, so we've spent a lot of time playing those. The middle child is like she's currently out in the living room playing What Remains of Edith Finch right now. She likes narrative games, more story-driven games. She's completed both of The Last of Us, which she thought were fantastic.
Absolutely.
She's much more of like a single player, like we have Stardew Farm, that kind of stuff. And the eldest played a lot of web games, was like highly obsessed with Guitar Hero for a long time, and enjoys competitive fighting games actually. So like we used to play Tekken and Soul Calibur and things like that.
Hmm. So, Dad went from that seems ridiculous that they would watch people play video games and pay people to watch video games. So now Dad does that. In fact, Dad's thinking about pivoting his business into supporting that. That's incredible.
They do support the stream. I am planning a stream event. So I'm not sure when, but I'm like starting to plan it out, and my daughter's going to help me with that one. So, because I'm very, you mentioned accessibility. I'm like very big on accessibility within gaming. I have a parent that's disabled, and she, she's not able to play the majority of games. And,
oh, lag spike. Let's pause the conversation. All right, you were saying.
Let me know when we're back.
We're back. Okay, lag spike over.
Back.
You were saying your.
No, I was saying about accessibility within gaming. So my mother's blind. She's been blind her whole life, but she's always been someone who's very enjoys playing games like board games and card games and things like that, but has never been able to play video games. And there has been a lot of, I'd say, a greater effort in making accessibility inside of games for low vision and blind individuals. So there are some games out there that I'm going to play blindfolded. As a sighted person, I'm going to attempt to play these games without sight, but obviously I'm going to have a hell of a time reading chat and interacting with chat. It's just a lot more challenging. So my middle child's going to like hang out on stream and read chat and kind of be my eyes and extra set of hands while we do that stream. I'm trying to do like a charity stream so that we can raise some awareness around that. But the kiddos are supportive of these endeavors.
Wait, do they want to stream or do they?
No, none of them have any interest.
But they want to help Dad.
Yeah, and they're very supportive. They're all grown. They're just essentially terrible roommates at this point. But
terrible roommates. Interesting. Okay. All right, let's talk gaming. So you talked that, Elden Ring, Lives of P, we agreed they're, Souls-like, from that same franchise. Do you enjoy the sense of reward when you finally down a boss? Like, is that one of the things you really enjoy about that genre? Like the feeling of accomplishment?
I think there's some of that, but what I think I've enjoyed in those worlds is, and those two in particular, like we say, Lies of P and Elden Ring, they're very different in the regards of like Elden Ring is very open world, and Lies of P was much more linear. But both of them have great storytelling elements to them, and I think there's, especially with Elden Ring, like there's this sense of discovery, and the sense of discovery was the part I think I enjoyed the most with Elden Ring, because I played my first playthrough with Elden Ring without looking at any guides.
Oh, nice.
I went in blind, and then I didn't look anything up. So there were definitely times, and there's also a reason why I have like 300 plus hours in that game, because there was also a lot of frustration of like stumbling around and like backtracking back and forth between places. And like, why can't I feel like I can, how do I progress? Where do I go? What's the next thing? And sometimes just like picking a direction and aimlessly running torrent, in that direction, we're riding along and then we stumble upon something. And those were the most memorable moments for me of kind of that, aha, this is the next progression of the story, or oh, I talked to this guy, and there's no quest markers and there's no clear indicator where I'm supposed to go on that quest, but I stumble into it and I find the next progression point. Those were the things I really liked about Elden Ring, and the boss fights were good. And there is a sense of accomplishment in defeating a difficult boss that you like have to adjust your strategy or just doggedly do the same thing over and over and again, hoping for a different result. That's also a strategy. Um, but I don't know that that was the biggest driver for me. I think for Elden Ring, it really was the sense of discovery, and it was just a beautiful game. And like sometimes you would come up onto a new mountaintop and see the Erd tree in the distance and the city, and you just like you know I'm immersed in this world and it's gorgeous and I love it. And then Lies of P, there was a lot of that as well, even though it being more linear. It was it was the creepy cool design of the monsters and the different very distinct areas that you were exploring and taking in. And I'm one of those people that searches every nook and cranny to find all the things. So I very much liked that about Lies of P as well. And then there's a lot more lore there that felt digestible, whereas Elden's Ring's lore feels a little fragmented. It can take a little bit to piece everything together. Whereas Lies of P, it didn't. I didn't struggle with that as much, which I think made it a little bit more enjoyable. So yeah, for me on the Souls-like games and even Bloodborne, thinking back to other Souls-likes I played, it was the setting, it was the environment, it was the immersion and the discovery that I really enjoy within those games. And then difficult boss fights were just kind of icing on the cake, but they weren't the primary driver.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Let me ask you about Magic the Gathering. Because I have played a handful of times, but I never owned a deck. Like at the Ninja Academy or the Shinobi Academy, my co-students at the academy played the game and they just handed me a deck and said, "Here, you play this deck." And I enjoyed that experience. But do you have a favorite deck or strategy within that game?
I'm notoriously a blue or a white player, and sometimes combine the two. I'm blue. I'm a control player, so I love to counter spells and essentially have control of the battlefield. Sort of a longer game, much more strategic. I'm also probably very hated by a lot of players because of that. There's nothing more frustrating than having a perfect vision in your head of what you're going to play and how the cards are going to tie together and what you're going to drop and what's going to happen next, and kind of having that scene 4 steps ahead like you would in chess. And then I interrupt that. I throw that whole thing off.
Yep.
I take control of what's happening on the board, and to me that's a lot of fun. I know it can be very frustrating to play against that, and I really like white decks because of I'm a fan of playing tribal decks as well. So tribal is like having a certain type of creature within the deck that has a lot of synergies within it. So like Bloomburrow, which was not the most recent, one of the more recent expansions in Magic. I thought it was great because it had all these little woodland creatures, and I made a rabbit deck and I made a squirrel deck, and you can have sort of these different thematic elements within the deck that I like to play too. But I like lots of creatures as well, so having the ability to kind of control the deck with blue, or control the battlefield with the blue deck or the blue magic, and then using lots of creatures. I like flying creatures because they have the advantage of flying over the defenders. Those are the 2 types of decks I usually play. I like to couple black with blue as well. So like a Dimir play style where there's a lot of destruction and denial with the black side. So whether you're getting your opponent to discard their cards or you're countering their spells, like you're essentially just hamstringing them, ruining their plans, and then destroying all their creatures, and then coming in with your own and kind of clearing things up. So it's generally a more strategic play style that I go for.
Interesting.
I am the bane of red aggro players.
Nice, nice. How do you balance the complexity of Magic the Gathering and when you're trying to, teach a new player? Have you ever had that experience of trying to teach a new player the game?
I have taught lots of people how to play Magic, and there's a few other people I still need to like connect and get playing with them. But no, I love to teach. I think if I hadn't done my research and found out how much teachers make, I probably would have gone into teaching. But thankfully, I decided that wasn't feasible for me as a profession. But teaching Magic is it's just, I think it's pretty easy, and you just have to start with like the simplest approach and the simplest type of deck and mechanics, and then you just kind of build upon those. But it is very much a crawl, walk, run approach to Magic. So I love to teach Magic and take very much that of like, these are the absolute basics that you need to be able to play. Let's play a few games. Things are going to start to click in your head. You're going to see the potential for more strategy or looking for cards that start to play off some of these mechanics. And then you slowly introduce new ones and more sets and more expansions, because the later, every new expansion introduces some new mechanic that you need to understand. So yeah, start with the basics and just build from there.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. I do have to ask you this question. Is it me, or do decks kind of like have a personality? Like once you make one? Because I feel like, so back in the Shinobi Academy days when I played the game, like we noticed that certain decks did really good for certain players, and even if they swapped decks between player to player, they performed poorly with the other player. Like I don't know if that was because, like, it to us we're just like, well, that deck hates you. It doesn't want to help you or whatever. But what is your thoughts and the philosophy on that?
It's an interesting idea. I think there's something to that in terms of like different colors have different like strengths to playing them. So it can certainly tie to a personality or like a preferred strategy. And if you're used to playing like a fast red aggro deck, where you're getting cards out as quickly as possible, you're causing as much damage as quickly as possible, and trying to overwhelm the opponent with big hits, and then you're given a blue deck or a white deck where it's going to be a slower build, or there's a life gain element, or you need to think strategically about, well, what are they going to play and what should I interrupt, when should I hold, when should I advance. It is absolutely a very different approach to the game and strategic approach to your hands than if you were playing a different type of deck. And I think some people, Hulk smash, like, Hulk is going to do fine with like a red deck or maybe a green deck and make some giant creatures and just punch through the enemy's defensive line and overwhelm them. Probably Hulk's going to really struggle with more measured approach of a white or a blue deck. So yeah, I think there is something to that. Now, that being said, Magic within itself has a high element of RNG. You've got, a lot of cards in there. The shuffler could be your worst enemy, and you just wind up getting 9 land cards in a row. That can absolutely happen.
Yep.
And no matter how good a player you are, or what deck you have, you can get absolutely screwed by RNG.
RNG. Absolutely. Yes, Tamari, I've played Magic, but I've never owned a deck. If somebody handed me a deck today, I think I would need it's a lot of coaching to remember how to play, but I think maybe I could play the online version to um, kind of like break the rust off. Namori played Yu-Gi-Oh! And Chibi Dango wants to know if you played Pokemon. Have you played other card games besides Magic the Gathering?
I have played some others. They a lot of the card games I've played are a lot older. So Legend of the Five Rings, Vampire the Masquerade had a card game for a while that was really, really good. It just kind of died off, unfortunately. I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. Like I am familiar with the universes, but I have never played the card games.
Okay. All right, next question. When I was doing my research on you, I think there was a game. I don't even know how to say this. It's Last Epoch or Last Epoch?
Last Epoch?
Yeah,
Epoch.
Epoch. Can you tell me about that game? What is that game? And why did you... it's an ARPG? Can you tell me
Yeah,
what
I
that
believe it
is?
falls into an ARPG category. So, the closest I could draw a comparison to would be the Diablo series, which most people are familiar with. It's a role-playing game. I got into it because it'd been sitting in my library, and they were doing. The publisher had just done an update, so they had drops going. So I was like, oh, I've never streamed a game that had drops, so that would be fun. And I need to play this game because it's been sitting in my backlog and I haven't played it. So again, to like the strategic approach I have to streaming is nil. And I just kind of like, oh, this looks cool. We'll do this. But I've been a very big fan of the Diablo series. Played the heck out of 3. 4, I think, was pretty good, but to be honest, I haven't touched it in like a year. Um, I'm a fan of the genre, and this was by a smaller studio, and they were trying to do some, I think, some quality of life improvements and some novel approaches within the genre. So I liked it. To be honest, I haven't touched it much since stream. I think I streamed it for like a week and a half or so. Those type of games, I don't tend to get super engrossed in. They are kind of what I call like turn my brain off games, where I just enjoy getting loot, building the character, experimenting with builds, things like that. A lot of times you're fighting, waves of enemies. It's not there is some skill to it, but it's not a high level of skill needed to play the games and to extract some enjoyment from them. It's really a lot of times build centric. So if you've got a decent build and decent equipment, you enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have too much to dive into it, but I enjoyed it. I've been meaning to go back to it, but I kind of like enjoyed a nice sprint of it. I thought they did some unique approaches to the builds and to the character classes, and they had a nemesis system, which was unique. I hadn't seen that before. I've seen a nemesis system in a couple other games. I thought was well implemented, in that you have an enemy that continually gets stronger that you keep kind of battling and going back to. But it was a good game. I would recommend checking out if you are a fan of Diablo 3 or 4 or other, Path of Exile being another one. Although Path of Exile I've never played, but my friends that have played say you need a PhD to really appreciate that game. Whereas I felt like Last Epoch was approachable, quick to pick up, quick to learn, and immediately enjoyable. So.
Okay. All right, let's do some more streamer related questions and then we'll say bye to YouTube. How about that? And then we'll do the after YouTube stuff. Where do you see your channel in a year? And any big plans or projects?
I mean, in a year, I'd love to see it grow. The co-working side of things, I'm really having like a lot of fun with that, and I'm enjoying the getting to know people in that community and just getting a good sense of satisfaction in that it's providing value to people to have that space and to have my bot that helps people complete their tasks and things like that. Like, I'm really enjoying having that. I'd love to see that continue to grow, to have more people regularly attending. Like, someone who just discovered me like a week ago has already completed a pretty big commercial prototype they were making in they do it in Blender, I think it was, or no, Unity. They were learning Unity, and like when they came in, they were basically like, I'm looking for a place to hang out and work on this project, and like I can't get anything to work right now. I'm stuck. I'm stumbling. Blah blah blah. And then just was Friday. They came on stream and they like shared the project and like showed me the video, and like he got his occlusion fixed, and like in that week and a half the project was completed. And they're like, oh, I want to keep iterating on it, I want to make it even better, but like I loved being here in this space so that I could get this project done. So like just that little story I feel is huge, and I would love to have that space continue to be available where people are getting things done and accomplishing things they want to do, and like seeing value in hanging out in the co-working stream. So and a year later, yeah, I just love to have more people participating in that and extracting value. And the gameplay side of things, like I hope we've completed a lot of games. I hope we've had a lot of fun. And I hope that like my community has grown, and maybe I've inspired other people to start streaming and to chase after things that they want to do. So that's really my ambition.
Nice. Okay. All right. Wait, can you elaborate on that? So what do you mean you grew up on a farm? Like literally?
I grew up on a farm. So yeah, I grew up on 90 plus acres in a very beautiful hilly area. We had goats and cows and horses and chickens and geese and ducks and like pigs and all the creatures that you can imagine. It was a wonderful childhood. I lived out in a rural area, and I got to live out all my Lord of the Ring fantasies as a kid, running through the hills wearing a makeshift cloak and toy weaponry that I constructed myself, and got to ride a horse and go camp overnight up in the hills with my dogs. And yeah, it was a good life.
Different times, man. Different times. Holy cow.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Wait, was your farm mostly livestock? Was that what you guys?
It was mostly livestock. I mean, you could classify it as a hobby farm, but at one point we were a fully functioning goat milk dairy that my mother was running the dairy side of things, and we were selling like essentially organic milk before it was kind of a thing. And we also made cheeses, and we worked with some high profile restaurants in San Francisco providing products for them. So
interesting. Okay. All right, let's get back to streamer based questions. How do you balance your time between streaming and the other aspects of your life? I've been sucking at that recently.
I mean, I have my stream schedule, and I try to stick to it as closely as I can. If there's challenges to that, I communicate it to my Discord. And like the co-working portion is kind of natural because I start my work day. I usually start the co-working portion a little bit later than I start my day, but then like it's running and I'm being productive and I'm doing my work and I'm hanging out with chat, and like it's kind of a natural thing. Some days I'm not able to do it due to conflicts or errands or things I have to run, so I just communicate that to Discord. And then the evening streams are pretty easy. I stream 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then those are like the set days, and those are sacred, and I always start at roughly the right time, 7 p.m. most days. And I game until I'm tired. I stream essentially till I'm tired. And then if there's any bonus streams, I announce them on Discord. Sometimes I pepper in additional streams if I got time or I'm wanting to make more progress. because I do definitely keep my stream games separate from my offline gaming. I don't like play anything that I've been playing on stream, just in case someone is invested. I don't want them to miss out. So I find it pretty easy. I think I manage time pretty well, and it's important to have a schedule. I think just having a schedule makes it kind of easy to stick to it and show up for that.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Do you have any advice for any aspiring streamers out there?
Well, I think a lot of people, I'd say just start.
Just do it.
Like if you've come to the point where you feel this is something you want to do and even give it a try, I'd say just go for it. Like it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. The setup's never going to be perfect. Nothing will ever be perfect. I mean, perfect is the enemy of everything. If you're just going to spend all your time worrying about making it perfect, you're actually never going to take that action. So I'm a big advocate of like, take the action, like do the thing, try it out. You're not gonna fail. And even if you count it as a fail, like that's not a bad thing. That means you had an opportunity to learn something. Whether the stream went terrible, or you froze, or you didn't know what to say or how to interact with chat, like that's okay. Those are things to reflect on and to learn from. But definitely just get started, just give it a try. And I'd say what I felt was really helpful for me was kind of cultivating a community even before you go live. Like there's a lot of technical stuff that goes in terms of like getting the right equipment, or at least the very basic amounts of equipment that you need to start streaming. You do need a couple things to have a MVP, or minimum viable product, as we say. But before you even have that, I think it's really important to have a community, and to like make sure you are networking with fellow streamers, fellow chatters, understand the language of Twitch, the kind of learning how to read the room, and make some friends, because those people are going to come support you when you like go live. He's like, hey, I'm ready to give this a shot. Would you mind coming and hanging out on my channel and give me feedback? And it's not like a self-promotion thing. It's like, hey, I would just love some feedback, or I would love your thoughts, or anything like that. I think that's really important to have some community that is going to be there to support you. That was huge for me.
That is huge. That is huge. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with all the points you made. Accept the scuff. Like, don't even, like, just go in with the expectation of complete failure. And if you manage to do it, you're just happy you did it, So
100%. You're going to feel so much better just doing it and being like, I did it. I got over the hurdle. And even if it was terrible, now you have something to improve upon. Because if you go out there and it's perfect, like, well, where do you go from there? Your first stream is the best stream ever, and you have 100,000 subscribers right off your first stream. Where do you go from there?
True.
Like, that's not a lot of fun. You want to kind of build yourself up and learn as you go.
I'll agree with that. So, all right, this time I will open it up to questions from the chat. Gatos, Clevvur. What do you call your community? Foxes, or what is it?
No idea. I haven't named the community. They're just my community.
Maybe the Clevvur's community.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna call them foxes.
They're my friends.
Any gatos or foxes out there? Want to have any questions? Type them in the chat. Well, keep going. People don't stop streaming when they hit 10K followers. True. Oh, I didn't realize the blue would become transparent. Ray Dog wants to know what your first car was.
My first car? My first car was a beat-up GMC Sierra pickup truck. It was a diesel, and
that sounds like a farm truck.
It was it was the retired farm truck. that was I was gifted that. It was worth all of nothing, and had a ton of rust and a bunch of issues. It was the problematic truck that my dad could never figure out why it would die or this would go wrong or, yada, yada, yada. So I learned a ton. I very quickly became a mechanic and learned how to work on diesel engines and rip out alternators and chase wiring and all sorts of fun stuff. So her name was Lady.
Lady.
She was ugly as sin. I was notorious in the high school parking lot for having the beat up, trashy, disgusting looking truck. But
what's up, Java?
She was a good girl. I learned how to fix so many things. I appreciate the hell out of that truck. And I also wound up putting 3 12-inch subwoofers in the back of my seat and just bumped the shit out of that with a couple preamps. And I was also the loudest truck in the high school parking lot. So
nice. So you put a sound system in Lady, and Lady sounded amazing. She sounded amazing.
She might have not looked like much, but boy, did she sound awesome.
And Beppo, your Lady
it was like a
friend.
Free massage just driving home with my truck.
She's hot as hell. That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah, I have a lot of appreciation having a beater as my first car. And then when I was finally able to afford my first new car for me, it was a big deal. I have much greater appreciation for it. So. I come from humble origins.
Humble origins. I had one also. That thing got around for at least a year. Nice. Automatic or manual? Chava wants to know.
She was an automatic. I did learn manual with the tractors, so I can drive both. But yeah, she was an automatic.
Okay. All right, I'll think of another question if you guys have more questions. I gotta ask, what is with the ferret in the suit? That's driving me crazy.
It's just a dapper ferret. I saw the art.
Dapper ferret?
I thought it was cool. I got it. I have a couple other pieces that I haven't hung up that are actually like goats. One's got a goat with a bow tie, and I don't know. It's an artist out of Portland that I like. Ryan. I can't remember his last name right now. I could look it up, but he does this entire series of kind of these similar to I like this anthropomorphic sort of animals living everyday lives, like the wind in the willows and things like that. So that piece just was cool, and it's a dapper ferret, and I like ferrets, so I grabbed it.
All right. Are any of the pieces behind you painted by you?
No, I'm not big on displaying my own art. These are all just pieces I collected from
Not even the minis?
People that like the minis. The miniatures are mine. Yes, I have painted them.
Yeah, bring one up close. Let's take a look at your work.
I don't know if we'll actually be able to show on here. You try.
You put it in front of your face, maybe, so it focuses. No, put it directly in the camera, but block your face with it.
No, I'll put it in front of my face. How's that? But this is one of my Bretonians. He's actually a little damaged right now.
Chava wants to know, is one of yours a Transformer or Robotech? Is that what he's seeing off in the corner? Or is that a Gundam?
No, that's a Ninjago one.
Ninjago.
That guy over there.
Interesting.
And then some Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd.
Nice. You liking the new stuff?
To be honest, I haven't really followed much past Mandalorian. I haven't had a Disney Plus subscription in a while, so I haven't missed out. I missed out on a lot of the new stuff.
Yeah, man, it's hard to balance the subscriptions, especially if you're subscribing to friends on Twitch. I had the budget.
Oh yeah, I 100% have a budget for my Twitch friends, and I rotate through people. I have to rotate through different subscriptions, and honestly, I joke about this, but all proceeds I make from Twitch are just going to pay for subs.
Oh, that means Bezos is the only real winner. Bezos is the only real winner because he gets a cut every time.
See that money go support my friends.
Budgeting for subs is not a problem for me. It's outside of Twitch stuff that I need to back off on. Oh, okay, Beppo. Alright, alright. Did he watch Andor? Chava wants to know.
I started Andor. I did not finish it. And that's actually probably the last. No, I did watch the second season of Mandalorian, or third.
Mhm.
How many seasons of Mandalorian? I don't even remember. It's been a while. Like, it's been a while since I've had Disney Plus.
Alright.
But Andor was good. Yeah.
Nice. Beppo wants to know if you could go into space, like an early spacecraft like a dragon, would you? Like, you won the lottery and they said, Clevvur, you could go up if you want. Would you take that ride into space?
I don't know. Not especially. My first reaction is no. I mean, I might think about it and change my mind, but like the first reaction is, I like terra firma. I'd probably stay here. I think space is cool and all, but I don't need to go up into it.
Especially with 3 kids on, or 3 kids on the ground? Sorry, I mixed up 3. Holy cow. Holy cow.
Single dad life, you know.
Single dad at that? Bro. How do you have time to brush your teeth, bro?
Like I said, they're all adults now. Like they're pretty self-sufficient.
Interesting.
Done the raising part.
Nice. This is housing out there, especially Colorado, is ridiculous. So them leaving
the
nest.
It is, which is why they are roommates.
They're roommates, yeah. Like single dad team for the win. Oh yeah, that's right. Chava's a single dad, but he's got
Nice.
younger ones.
Respect.
Younger ones. Plenty of roommates. Yeah. I will say, like, Colorado and Denver. I have been to Denver many a times. It's changed a lot in such a short period of time.
Yeah, this is the, other than where I grew up, this is the longest I've stayed put, because I typically move around a lot. And in the time that I've been here, it has changed dramatically. Some things good, some things not so good. So
I gotcha. Wait, where else? What are some of the cities you've lived in, or some of the places you've lived in?
I've lived quite a few places in Northern California. I've lived in Oregon. I've lived in Washington, around the Seattle area. I've lived in Arizona. I have lived in Paris. I have lived in Magarpata City, which is in Pune, India.
What?
Those are most of the places I've lived.
Damn.
I've traveled a lot outside of that. So, yeah, I lived in India for a year. I lived in Paris for half a year. I traveled around Europe pretty extensively. Portugal, Iceland.
Oh, lag spike. Let's hold till you're back. Let's keep holding.
Let me know.
All right, we are back. Lag spike over.
Okay. Yeah, I've lived a lot of places.
All right. If you could pick up today easily, if money wasn't a thing, and move somewhere else to live, where would you live?
Japan. That's on the bucket list, and it's actually something I'm hoping to do because my work, I've worked remote primarily, and my work right now still I just need a laptop and internet connection. So the kiddos are getting to the point where they are going to like leave the nest, and like I see that in the future. So I'm hoping very much to become more nomadic and continue to just move around, go different places, work, for 3 to 6 months, and live there and work while I can. So Japan is very high on that list, and I would absolutely love to be able to do that in the not too distant future.
That's cool, man. That's cool. That's a good answer. I think Japan's on a lot of people's lists. Chava wants to know, what do you think of the game Last Case of Benedict Fox?
I completed that on stream last month. Artistically, I think it's a gorgeous game. I think that the the design and the animation and the characters, fantastic. The storytelling was pretty good. There were some holes, and I think some of it may have been related to like translation, but overall the story was pretty good. The puzzles are excellent. I feel like they maybe spent more time on the puzzle creation than other elements of the game, because like combat wasn't too terribly challenging. Um, Unfortunately, the game is poorly optimized, even on my rig, which I can run just about anything, on ultra settings without too much problems. My system was really struggling with the last case of Benedict Fox and streaming it, which I was kind of surprised. I didn't think that would be an issue. So yeah, overall, I think it was a good game. If anyone's played it, and the ending left a lot to be desired. I was hoping for more from the ending. I feel like they kind of rushed it at the end, unfortunately. But if you like Metroidvanias, and it's a good game, and platformers, like I would recommend it for sure. The puzzles are fantastic.
All right, and then Ray Dog wants to know, what was the first game you played?
First game I played, oh boy. It would have to have been something on the Atari 2600, most likely Pong. I do remember playing Pong very early on.
Oh, you made a friend with Chava. Chava's a retro gamer, so he's so happy to hear that.
I do
OG
love the
gamer.
retros, and then I remember the first time I got to play Mario on the NES. My first PC was a Pentium 286, and I was playing like King's Quest and some variations of like Base Defenders. The Ultima series was huge. I love the Ultima series and the Sierra games. I remember playing Doom like on the original my 386, and yeah, I've been at this for a long time.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
all right.
Very soft spot in my heart for the Ultima series. Ultima 5 was like a game I wished for Christmas, and like dropped hints all around the house for my dad, and like cut out magazine clippings and like hid them in his desk so that he would find them. Just like I was trying all the marketing techniques I could as a young warthog, and got Ultima 5, and like it had the coin in it, and it had
quality
the cloth
stuff.
map, and it had like 10 5 1/4 inch floppy disks in it, but I played the shit out of that game.
Sadly, the founding of a new Ultimate game was a scam. Damn, Chava, that sucks. Cat Dude says Ultimate was the boss, or Ultima was the boss of games back then.
Yeah, I love those games.
Really innovative for its time. That's pretty cool, man. Cool. All right, last call for questions before we say bye to YouTube. So last call for questions. Any other questions for this guy? You can keep it on the wall. You don't have to zoom in. I'm just gonna generically ask: is that a family photo in the back right, or what looks to the streams back right?
Those are kiddos.
Those are kiddos, which are no longer that size.
They are not. They are considerably larger.
Oh, nice. Okay. Any bad games you remember from your old days? Like really bad? Like what was one of the worst games that still sticks with you?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, all games are valid. I can't think of a...
You did your research as well before you invested those monies or asked for those monies.
Yeah, I was pretty selective. Like I've always found something redeeming in every game I've played. or maybe I'm just an overly optimistic person that just like finds the silver lining and everything. So I can't think of a single game that I like. Oh, I hate that game, or that game's terrible, or it should not exist, or anything like that. I think every game has something to contribute, at least of that I've played.
Actually, Lethal Company. I don't really enjoy that game, even with friends, because like I'm terrible at it, and it's a me problem. Like I realize it's a me problem because like everybody's terrible at Lethal Company. It's more of an RNG slash game. It's just silly, but
See, I love Lethal Company. I have been a puddle of tears laughing in that game. Maybe it's who I'm playing with, and I am terrible at it, and I die a lot, and my corpse gets carried back. But I've had some of the best like belly laughs with that game.
Ray Dog asks, "What was the last movie you've seen?"
Last movie I saw. I watch a lot of anime, so that's kind of a tough one. See, okay, the last movie I actually sat down and watched was the newest Quiet Place. Was it Quiet Place 3? Which unfortunately, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I was disappointed. Can just leave it at that.
Oh, and Chava wants to know, did you ever play a game called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
I did not. No, that doesn't ring a bell.
That's like notoriously historical wise one of the worst games. Apparently.
Is it worse than E.T.?
Maybe?
No, I've never played Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Beppa wants to know, what's the best movie you've seen? This cat has not seen a lot of movies, so they get upset with me.
Ooh, the best movie. That's tough because there's so many movies that I love. Oh boy. I need like a genre or something. Yeah, I do like a lot of animation. So, I spent like Ghibli movies. Princess Mononoke is one of my all-time favorite films. But like on the movie side of things, Desperado is a great movie that not a lot of people know about. Primer is a very unknown, low-budget film that people should watch because it's going to mess with your head in a good way. Oh man, Everything Everywhere All at Once was a spectacular film that's more recent. God, there's a lot of great movies out there. The original Little Women was a great movie with Claire Danes. I like a lot of foreign films, so I'm trying to think of some of the other foreign films.
Has anyone told you that you look like Raham Shabazz? No idea who that is.
No, I've never heard that one. That's a new one. I usually get the Carl Urban one.
Carl Urban. Jacksepticeye. Oh, actually, you do have kind of like a Jacksepticeye vibe. I will agree with that one.
I will take these all as compliments.
Believe it or not, this cat, because I travel a lot employment-wise, in one of my travels, I got to see Princess Mononoke at the Mayan, which I think was an incredible experience. I know that's a reference that you and Ray Dog will probably recognize. But yeah, I was in Denver for
seeing them in the theaters is a whole nother experience. I think seeing the Ghibli movies. I've seen a few. Mononoke was one of them. Howl's Moving Castle is also a film that I really enjoy. Nazca the Wind. Yeah, there's. I also like some of the old animes, like Ninja Scroll, which is now getting a re-release for its 30th anniversary, I think it is.
Oh no, you mentioned anime. Both Chibi and Chavo will go off. They're old school anime nerds as well.
Yeah.
Wait, Beppo says he swears he hears an Irish accent. Is that true?
No Irish accent to my knowledge. Very, very deep French roots. My family goes. I'm first generation American, so I go very far back on the French tree.
Interesting. All right.
But the Irish and the French have always been very close, so who knows?
Mm.
We have a shared dislike of the British.
Did you get to see her name on the theaters? Wait, what? What are you talking about, Java? I don't get that question. We're doing good. We're doing good, Little Hollow. We're about to wrap up and say bye to YouTube and then get into some other stuff. But I guess I'll use that as a dovetail. Let's see here. Where's my... All right, everyone. You know the process. You know the process. We got to say bye to YouTube. So if you type HIYT, that will also say bye to YouTube. Sorry, the name of the anime is Your Name. Oh, did you ever see an anime called Your Name? That was the question.
The anime, Her Name? I've not heard of that one, no.
Her Name. Okay.
Is Your Name, Her Name.
All right. All right. All right, guys. This has been incredible with interview with Clevvur. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I will also list all of Clevvur's socials in the bottom description. Follow him. Go hang out with him. He's an incredible dude, and you can experience more of his content.